Hi guys, my name is Mark, and today this is gonna probably be my last Backrooms theory video. Today I'm going to be talking about how the Backrooms copies things again. Oh god, this looks so scary. This is new, I just spawned here, but I'm gonna be talking about how the Backrooms copies things, how the Backrooms phases things through, and other stuff relating to how you can no-clip into the backrooms and how the backrooms exists. I'm gonna be bringing up a theory on how the backrooms can exist in our like realm, or like in Earth. Okay, first let's talk about how the backrooms possibly copies things, or how like it creates things. I believe that the backrooms follows some sort of algorithm. Yes. And I believe that algorithm could be our memories. I didn't do research on what memories are actually, what makes up a memory, so I'm still gonna go with the theory that they're electrical signals, but I could be very wrong about that. Maybe the backroom scanning memories have been incremented by a lot due to the fact that they're electrical signals, and maybe the backrooms scans things like a huge magnetic sensor. I do not know how the backroom itself senses things, but basically works like some sort of X-ray. Something like that. Or MRI machine. I shouldn't do something like that. I didn't like the idea of calling the backrooms a MRI machine, but yeah, like I don't know what to describe a huge magnetic sensor. But yeah, it doesn't copy memories. It's more of like a instruction. Memories act like a instruction, and how the backrooms constructs things. And other objects surrounding null zones, their atomic structures picked up by those big magnetic sensor things that the backrooms has. Yeah, the backrooms does not need to remember the structure of those materials. It just it just copies the atomic structure. And with that, I'm gonna go back here. With that, it just uses those objects that it scanned to help construct or recreate the memories it has. If I'm very interested in the topic, then I'll probably do much more research on it. It's just a cute little ramble I like doing while playing this game. Anyways, let's move on how null zones form, I believe. As of now, it's very theoretical. I do not know much about the possibility of particles phasing through other particles. But I believe that it's gonna sound very gay of me, but I believe quantum tunneling or something like that could be the reason on how null zones form. And that possibility of you phasing through a wall could be incremented or increased by the maybe introduction of high amounts of energy. Yes. Oh god, hold on. Hi guys, I'm back. Sorry, my parents just entered the door, but yeah, let's continue on my ramble. Yeah, yeah, the possibility of quantum tunneling can be increased with the higher amount of energy. What is that? Introduced, or like, yeah, like with the higher amount, like with higher amount of like energy introduced. And here's my, and yeah, so like I believe that null zones are created using I mean null zones like are probably areas of the backrooms where, let me think. Okay, I think we have to go here. There's nowhere else we could go. But I believe that null zones are areas where there are some parts of the backrooms where they're not high on energy. Nah, they are high on energy. They're probably high energy areas of the backrooms which exist in our realm. So I'm gonna have to revel in that. Perhaps they're still high energy areas. It's just that. Nah, I don't. Yeah, they're still high energy areas. It's just that they are in, like, they have less energy compared to the entire complex itself, and in result they allow light to like bounce off these areas, I believe. Yeah, there are some parts of the backrooms where there's still walls covering them, and other parts of the backrooms they're like such a for example the portal async made, those areas they reflect light from the backrooms itself. So with that, I believe that if a person walks into the backrooms, they won't notice it, but I do believe that there's an increase of energy they store, which allows them to probably, I don't know, oh, there's stairs that lead nowhere, that allows them to vibrate, or like how their like particles like have the same frequency as the backrooms, which allows them to explore the backrooms. What is this? Oh god, it's not, I don't like that thing. Anyways, that's new. I'm scared. Anyways, yeah. With that, I believe the backrooms itself is a high energy space. That sounds very crazy, but what's that? Okay, it's just glitch, I believe. Yeah, that's what I believe. So, with that, I believe that the backrooms exists because due to the amount of energy poured into the generation of it initially when Ivan Beck did some crazy experiment, it probably led to the generation effect of the backrooms where it just continually, I'm up here this time, it continually started creating things. And I do believe it's a separate phenomenon where the backrooms starts creating things. I believe that's a different phenomenon, as I don't know, it could be related to the high amounts of energy in the backrooms. And the backrooms could exist in Earth, actually. It has gravity. For all I know, it has the same gravity as Earth. And although the backrooms seems too crazy to be underground, the reason no one has stumbled in it physically, I should go back, is because it itself has high amounts of energy, and in result of that, the backrooms exists on Earth, but phases through objects and even light, which is why it has not been detected by anyone underground. And also, here, now I'm going to be making a timeline, or more of why people start to no clip after async opened the portal. When async opened, when Ivan Beck sorry, I'm kind of sick still. It's crazy how long I've been sick, but when Ivan Beck opened, like, created the backrooms, or at least started the backrooms phenomenon, a huge amount of energy has been poured into the backrooms, which in result has started the crazy generation and also allowed the backrooms to become invisible. But I believe that the entire backrooms had a even amount of energy, which is why no one started which is why not a lot of people, or at least no one, or at least just some people no clipped into the backrooms, but not a lot of people. But when async created the portal to the backrooms, they poured a lot of energy into the backrooms, into, like, I mean, at least sustaining a hole into the backrooms, or maybe a access, like, or maybe a, like, what do you call this, a door to the backrooms. And I believe they had to sustain it by maybe supplying a continuous amount of energy. Let me think of why would they do that, though. Why would they need to supply a huge amount of energy? What is that huge bridge? But okay, sorry, I'm not really good at talking. I didn't make a script for this. I was just very excited to talk about this. Of course, I could still be very wrong, so take my word with a grain of salt. Is it gone? Okay, never mind. I thought it gone. The backrooms. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, the reason they would probably need to supply a continuous amount of energy is... No, I don't really think they supply continuous amount of energy. It's like Captain Clark's store. Maybe they just... Yeah, no, I think they only needed a huge amount of energy to open the backrooms, and after that, the backrooms stayed open. However, as they supplied a huge amount of energy, I believe that the backrooms became unstable in a way. And what I mean by unstable is, as the backrooms were supplied with a high amounts of energy. What is this? As the backrooms are supplied with a high amounts of energy, that energy is not equally distributed. And in result of that, more null zones started forming from those unevenly distributed parts, which started making more people no clip. I don't think more of these doorways are forming. Yeah, so everyone is probably fine. It's more of like, what do you call this? A ripple effect. But a big problem, there's a huge problem which could occur. What if all energy, like the energy dissipates enough so that the backroom starts facing back into our real realm. I do not know what would happen from that, but it's a bad thing that would happen. Of course, that's not really wanted. We do not know what could happen. But, yeah, that's my theory on how the backrooms could exist in our realm. Wow. Yeah, so this is my final theory on what the backrooms could be. Of course, I still have a lot to talk about, so let's talk about that, because I love this game a lot. And I didn't explore this part yet. Ooh. So anyways, let's talk about those whoa. Okay, let's go to the other side now. I don't like that part. But I remember being here. It does look familiar, but it's smaller and yeah, I didn't see this part. Anyways, what do I talk about now? Okay. I also want to talk about how the backrooms like generates things. Of course, if it were to be just a phenomenon which follows dreams, then you might think that just by itself, all of these rooms would be separate from each other, right? However, I would like to note that each room at least follows some sort of logic on how they are arranged. What I mean by that is by floor plan. And that would not make sense unless if it was sentient, right? Of course, it could be sentient, but what I'm trying to say here is that it could also not be sentient, because although that's a very cool theory, oh god, don't mind that, sorry, that's my dad. Although it could be sentient, I would like to note that if it also follows like memories, then it could follow the logic put into generating these rooms, which is why it's not just a jumbled mess. I'm back here. Nice. Okay, so I don't mind that. Okay, I'm just gonna run at this point. Okay, I don't feel that scared anymore. Also, I believe that the still life and also I believe that this, yeah, I should probably repeat that as this is my final theory video. Don't mind the background noise. The still life and the bacteria, as I said, I believe that they're the same thing. And I have a theory on why the bacteria could be very prominent, even in found footage 2 and 3, and even in pitfalls. I have two theories on that actually, but I would support the other one, which the other one is actually the one I support is the spore theory. The spore theory is my theory that the Backrooms try to imitate how humans reproduce or at least multiply. The Backrooms copied at least the biological material of Ivan Beck, which is probably some sort of bacteria. I do not know if it's Bacillus, because it is intriguing to think that the bacteria is made out of the same thing that infested, I believe infested John Doe, but I believe that John Doe is still life himself. Yeah, so in result, the bacteria could be anything, but I believe it should be a single or common, like, it could be a single bacteria, or it could also be multiple colonies of bacteria jumbled up together. Of course, it could be like a multicellular organism, but it probably follows some sort of growth from fungus. Yeah. I don't like that ball. Okay, it's too upsetting. I'm just gonna make a run for it. Okay. My heart is beating right now. Could I go on here? I don't think so. Anyways, the bacteria could be a simple description, possibly from when it initially saw thrive in Beck's memories, which I already repeated, but it could be going something like this. It could be probably it probably thought that the sorry, I'm kinda still sick, but it probably thought that humans were multicellular, or at least multicellular organisms, or at least organisms that were made of cells, which had 4 limbs. It stood on 2 of them, and it probably also thought that it creates voice. It made voice from, for example, from those pitbull videos. It probably also thought that it grew, and it mistook from the word from the thought of growing, so it stemmed out that idea from like probably fungi or fungus, and in result it created a spore of some kind. I'm gonna go here. So yeah, that's how the bacteria was made. And also, I believe that it probably thought of a spore because you saw like the driver from Found Footage 2. When he died, maybe a spore of the bacteria or life form like landed on his body and started growing from him. Yeah. I believe that the John Doe incident and also the Found Footage 2 incident are 2 separate incidents in of itself. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my theory on the Backrooms. That's why I believe the Backrooms could be. It's a high energy space or phenomenon, or yeah, just space, which can exist in Earth because of the high amounts of energy it inherits, which increase the possibility of some sort of phase anomaly which allows it to be undetected from other humans, like, or at least civilians, which is why it was not detected until now, and which is why it can inherit some crazy geometry, and also which is why it has gravity, etc. So yeah, I believe that's where I should end the video. Thank you guys for watching my video. I'll see you in the next one. Probably KSP video. Or maybe even a paper modeling video. I'm thinking of making a paper model showcase. So yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.